All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Gil Greene coming to you from Columbus, Ohio in the U.S. And Ayse and Joe asked me to co-host along with David and Naomi. David, Naomi, you want to say hello? Introduce yourselves.
Hi, most of you know me, but yeah, I'm Naomi Whitehead from Sheffield, UK, and I'm delighted to be here to maybe humiliate, but generally celebrate Ayse Joe and family-based solutions.
And hi everyone, I'm David from Adelaide in Australia, and it's only 4:30 in the morning, but really honoured to be here. When they said that I could co-host the world's best solution-focused podcast, so I'm really looking forward to seeing Dominic and Elfie. Where are they?
Straight in.
Yeah.
And David, you've changed your shirt. What is going on with you? Are you going to keep changing shirts every 2 minutes? Because I'm going to get confused, mate. I don't know.
Joe, it's your 100th. I didn't want to really offend you on this auspicious occasion, so okay.
So the three of us as co-hosts, we're just going to get things rolling. We have some questions we're going to ask Ayse and Joe. I mean, this is what this is all about. In the celebration is to turn the tables in some ways and interview them and ask them some questions. It's hard to believe that this is the 100th chat, which they started. The first one was May 20th, 2020. But just say I first met Ayse and Joe via, I guess, Facebook, and then we started Zooming. We had our first Zoom chat, I think, in early May 2020, May 5th. And so we've been meeting, well, we were meeting weekly for a while, and then it's gone to like once a month, but it's been great to get to know them. And I guess it's like weekly chats. When you said it was 100, I went back to your Facebook page to count, and because I didn't believe it. And by God, you're right. It's 100. It's amazing. And I just really glad to be a part of this, and think that you guys instituting this probably, as David said, the greatest, what'd you call it? Web broadcast for solution focused therapy in the world. I think this has probably done more to connect solution focused therapy people around the world than anything I can think of. Right behind that would probably be SF 20 and 21. So we have some questions. We'll get started, and then you can ask questions in the chat if you want, but I have a feeling with this group that if you have a question, you're going to speak up, and let's just get this going. And then, as Ayse said, there's an after party afterwards. So I have a couple of questions just to kind of set the stage to ask Ayse and Joe. And that is first is, and this is turning on you, Joe, because you always start with this question: how did the two of you come to solution focus? And the follow-up question is, how did the two of you decide to start the chat? So that would be the 100th one.
Who would you like to answer this?
She's letting me go first. This is a first, guys. So here we go. We were just delivering a conference in Luton, which is in sort of Bedfordshire in England, and we were talking about child-to-parent abuse, which is kind of how the charity started. And someone just said, "Have you heard of the solution-focused approach?" I said, "No, we haven't." So when we came back, we looked it up, and we booked some training in for brief for our team. I think it was there's about 15 of us that took a 2-day training with Harvey Ratner. I'm sure you'll know who that is. I fell in love with it straight away. It was like coming home. It felt the right fit. It felt like this is what I was doing, but I really didn't know that it was solution focused, because before that I was working in schools with young people. So yeah, we had those 2 days of training and some follow-up training after that. And I think when I really fell in love with it was, you know, when you learn something new and you kind of a bit doubtful and you go through bits of it, but you don't actually believe in it completely to go through the whole thing. And when I went through the whole thing with a mum and daughter who'd been in an abusive relationship.
Oh yeah.
It was so wonderful to see this mum and daughter connect again through asking what seemed like very simple questions, but it lit something in them that made them connect in a way that they hadn't done for years. And from then on, I knew that I couldn't go back to the way I was before. I don't think. It was just, this was the right fit. As for the chats, I think it was during lockdown, Ayse, wasn't it? It was kind of, I think it started off, we interviewed a general practitioner, a doctor, about, because COVID had kicked in and he was working in A&E or accident and emergency. And because we weren't seeing clients face to face and we had a lot of time on our hands, we kind of just interviewed this doctor. And then from there, it was like, why don't we just start interviewing solution-focused practitioners from across the world? And I've got to say, they were so giving. What a beautiful community we're all in. It was amazing, everyone. And people, and I said to Ayse, I said, what, you've got so-and-so, are you sure? Because there's such, you know, the icons that you look up to, and they were so giving, and it's been amazing. These 100 chats have flown by for me. Ayse.
I hated the solution-focused approach. Absolutely hated it. We were trained by the first thing I said to Joe half an hour into the training is, what a waste of effing money. 2 days later, what a waste of effing money. I really did not like it. And I think that's more because of the way that I learn, and Harvey was incredible and is incredible, but it just wasn't for me. So that's why I really didn't like it until Joe dragged me to grief, unwillingly went, and I met Elliot, and I was like, right, okay, I get it now. I actually really get it. And yeah, so we haven't looked back since, and it was dipping in and out. And then it's only when I saw Joe conducting that session, I sat next to him, and it was just flowing, just so lovely, just so lovely. And I could see, like, you could physically see the difference those questions were making to the mother and daughter. And I thought, he's asking really, really silly questions, but the outcome is brilliant. I've really got to invest more energy and time into this. So I did. Yeah, that was my introduction to the solution-focused approach. I hated it. And the FBS chats was really, as Joe said, it was with COVID. So we interviewed an adult with autism, and we interviewed her to talk about how other adults can support their children with autism during the time of lockdown. And it was practical things that parents can do to support their kids. And then it was like, you know what, let's get someone on. And I think I was speaking to Guy Shannon a few days before. I was like, you know what, Guy, just come on and let's just see how much we can help the community, even if they pick up just one tiny little thing. And then from there on, it became addictive. It's like, what do you mean we don't have anyone next week? What do you mean? What's going on? It's like, what else? Who else? Come on. And so from there on, it almost became like recruiting. When I was in networking events, SF networking events, it was, hi, please email me. We have FBS chat. I would love to interview you. And it just became, that's how it went.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Great. And follow-up question there is, so you've done so many of these, and right about or right under a year and a half, how do you find the time to do this in addition to everything else?
Oh, that's a good question. Go on, Joe.
I think that these chats have been so useful to us that we would find the time no matter what, because they were just so inspiring. We work till quite late Monday to Thursday anyway, so it's not unusual. Although we were saying the other day that we need to slow down a bit, or Ayse was, I think. And I'm getting to that age now where I think I need to slow down a bit. But the highlight of the week has always been those chats, because, like I said, the community is a wonderful, wonderful community to be part of. So it's, sometimes it's generally around the same time. So we stay in the office, we'll have some dinner, and then I say prepare. I don't often prepare that much. I don't sometimes know even who the co-hosts are. They just turn up and I think, oh, wicked, it's so and so. And then I just try and remain as curious as possible. It's one of those things where, apart from Eve, who I did read her article, I do try to remain completely, and it sounds ignorant. Now I think about it, it does sound a bit ignorant, but it's not that at all. It's not that I can't be bothered to learn about people. I just want to be open and ask really simple questions that maybe if I'd known too much about the person I was interviewing, I may not have asked. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just the same with our clients.
Yeah.
To remain positively curious. Is it what was the question?
Well, let me, it means, how did you find time to do the chats?
Yeah, I think Joe answered it. I think that's something that's on our calendar, and that's we do dedicate time to, because obviously, as Joe said, we do work very, very long hours. But selfishly speaking, these chats don't just mean a lot to us. We're not only just addicted to it, but our practice has improved so much through these conversations. And I'm not being funny, please no one take offense, but it's almost like free training. Every time I'm in a chat, I'm like, wow, I'm going to try that. Wow, I never thought about it like this. Or it's, wow, this is bloody brilliant. And I've been doing this all along. I just didn't know what it was called. So yeah, it's for our own personal development, it's been an exceptional experience. And I know for a lot of people that do watch it, it's an exceptional experience. And I know it's made a huge difference to our service users, other people in the community that may not necessarily walk through our doors, but that watch it, that it has made a difference for. So why would we stop? Because without them actually coming into the office, they're being supported just by listening. And one of the mums, her daughter started leaving her bedroom. She has such high anxiety that she never left her bedroom. For a year, she did not leave her bedroom. And just by her mum listening to the chats, she then started sitting next to her mum. And they started having conversations about the chats that they were listening to, and how they can adapt some of that into their life. So it's not just addictive and personal to us, it's really beneficial to people that listen. So thank you all for that.
There's a couple of questions in the chat. I'll ask these, and then I know Naomi and David have questions. Let's see, Catherine and John have kind of similar questions. Catherine asks, I'd like to know what your biggest learning moments were using SF. And John Wheeler asks, interested to know what you now know about solution focus that wasn't so obvious to you before you did the 99 FBS chats.
That's a typical John Wheeler, isn't it? I think the biggest eye-opener for me was how broad and how many different ways that this approach is used. And I knew kind of maybe that this approach is useful no matter what arena you're in, whether it's coaching, whether it's therapy, whether it's group work, one-to-one. But it's just amazing what the amount of different applications that we found. Whether it's bringing communities together, whether it's working with trauma, suicidal ideation, whatever it was just that, wow, this approach is so all-encompassing in a way. I think that's probably what I learned the most, because previous to that, we were just involved in family work, family therapy, whatever you want to call it. So seeing how widespread it was and how many different applications, I think that was a really refreshing thing to find out.
I think what it's taught me, I think there was a question, what you learned from the chats that you didn't know before. Can I answer this one? How has SF affected the way you talk to people in your personal lives? Oh,
that's a good question. Yeah.
Well, my daughter last year, I was having a go at her about her bedroom, and I mean, really going into one with her because it was an absolute tip. And she said, "What difference would it make to me if you were to not shout and actually listen?"
Oh no.
I didn't know whether to slap her or be proud of her. I just went, I don't know, what difference would it make to you? So I think normalizing the conversation, normalizing that sort of solution-focused words, the communication that we're using, it's embedded in you, so you can't help but use it. I mean, you don't go from, what are your best hopes, but it's, how did you manage to do that? Great piece of homework. How did you manage to do that? Rather than, well done, that's brilliant, and walk away. So I think it has made a huge difference. And whether my husband realizes it or not, when he's a police officer, and when he comes home and talks to me about some of the cases, so how did you cope with that? What difference did it make to the person that you were with? And he will sit there and I'll coach him, and then he'll realize what I'm doing. He goes, "Oh, you're doing that SF rubbish again." I'm like, "But is it useful?" "Yeah, but be quiet." So I think it does make a huge difference in your everyday interactions, whether you like it or not. And the biggest thing I've learned from clients, majority of the time the clients, but also through the chats, is listening and actually hearing what the person in front of you is saying and giving them time. That's been the biggest bonus for me, because I'm not the most patient person. So for me to kind of just be relaxed enough to trust the client in front of me, that took a few years. And I still haven't mastered it, because we don't master anything, do we? We're always learning. But definitely it was, for me, listening and actually hearing and not responding straight away was the biggest learning curve.
Can I jump in there? I want to ask Joe a question. Joe, how hard was it for Ayse to listen?
Oh, it's that's a great question.
Great question, David.
I think, I think there's something about. I think she's learned patience through this. It's trust, that trust that the client will come up with an answer. Just give them some space and some time to do it. She can be really impatient at times, and I'm complete. The thing is, I'm the complete opposite. I am a sloth. If I came back as an animal, it would be a sloth, and I'm proud of that. But yeah, it was difficult, because I think where we came from, David, from an educational point of view, it was almost like we had to have all the answers. We had to tell young people what to do. And, we were, the experts as such. But yeah, learning this way of working, I think it's quite liberating. in one sense. And you have to trust the client, because we only see them for 1 hour a week. The rest of the week they're on their own, so that they have to do something different or change something. So we have to have that trust in them.
Joe and I have known each other for 16 years. We've been working together, and I'd probably say 14 years of that, he'd say to me, I'm going to teach you to be more patient. I'm going to teach you to be more patient, didn't you, Joe? That's something that he'd say to me all the time.
And what difference did that make?
Nothing. I just completely ignored him. It was the clients that taught me to be patient.
Very good.
It was the clients. It wasn't Joe. Joe, you screwed up. But it was the clients.
David, you have another question?
Yeah, I wouldn't like to say a question. What I've been listening to, I've known Ayse for quite some years over Zoom. Well, not quite some years, only about 2 years over Zoom. And what I've actually noticed about coaching and about therapy and everything we do in the solution focused process, I think you've got it. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Ayse. But I'm going to say it in a different way. Okay. 2 things is you're actually gaining knowledge, which is a wonderful thing. Okay. And also, as well as working on the client, you're also working on yourself. You're also working on yourself as well. So you're gaining knowledge. That knowledge stays with you, and it's important because you can always reflect on it in another session. But to me, the times I've met you, there's 2 people on this chat show tonight who I've actually met only face to face once. One is Naomi, and I met her in the Romper Hotel at Manchester Airport. And then I met John Wheeler, who is the closest to me, is about 3 miles away. And I met him somewhere at the Tate Gallery about, I think it's 1914 or 2014 or 2016. I can't remember quite the date. I've been impressed over the years with the whole ethos of solution focus, whether it's in therapy, whether it's in coaching, whether it's in business. We're all helping the client to gain knowledge. You are gaining knowledge as well. And I just find it fascinating in that way, that we're in that session of maybe 2 people, we're both learning. And if we can take that step, if we can take that on board, we'll all be, in little commas, fantastic. But I appreciate the solution focused approach to life, really. That's what it is. Having the mindset. So that's my statement, not a question, okay?
Oh, lovely.
Oh, how'd you put a heart up?
Thank you, Owen. Yeah.
I like that. To Jason and Lorraine, does Ayse really listen?
Lorraine's just made a squeak.
Yes and no.
I mean, Lorraine and Jason, you guys have some inside information nobody else has. So
I find it interesting that Ayse says that she's learned patience from the clients. She's not patient at all. That's all I've got to say.
Jason.
Yes. Right. Does Ayse listen? Yes and no. She listens. Well, let's start when she doesn't listen. She doesn't listen when she is absolutely focused on her laptop. When she's working, it's like barriers come up. Nothing goes through those ears. And I will sit there and talk. She'll answer me. And then all of a sudden, the moment she turns to her laptop, I'm still talking, thinking she's listening. And after about half an hour, she'll look up and go, huh? And she goes, yeah, and then carry on working. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, she's working, so I allow it. But when she isn't working on her laptop, and she will give you undivided attention and will listen intently to every word you say and will respond. And if it's a great idea, if something's come up, she will act on it straight away. She'll listen to everything. We'll have a good laugh. Patience with clients. She does have a lot of patience with clients. It's just afterwards she doesn't have much patience with everything else that goes around. So yeah, I think she does have patience with clients, but with other things that go on around her, I don't think she has much patience. She does not tolerate any form of procrastination in a way, and she wants to go at 100 miles per hour.
Okay. Thank you for that, Jason. All I've got to say is I'll show you a bit of Ayse's patience today. I came late. Ayse got me dinner. Now listen to this. Time was moving on. I was taking too long with my dinner, so she started clearing away. She started clearing things away. So I said to Joe, what's wrong with her? And he went, that's her way of saying you're moving too slow. There's her patience. That's all I've got to say.
I think
That's enough now. Leave the poor woman alone.
No. This is a compliment. I think what annoys Ayse about me is I take too long to get things done. And what I appreciate most about Ayse is that she gets up and does it. And whether that's patience or, let's just get this done, I always know if I come up with some kernel of an idea in my head and say, Ayse, what do you think about this?
And it's done.
I know she'll do it. And that's what I appreciate about her the most.
Yeah. She's got the biggest heart. That's the thing about Ayse. She's got the biggest heart. Yeah. She will do anything for anything and everything for anyone. You just only have to ask. She's just there. I mean, I went through a bit of time, a really hard time during the summer when my husband was thinking, and every single day she phoned me. She actually got on my nerves, but she would phone every day just to find out if there's anything she could do, if I was all right, if my children were all right. She's got the biggest heart, and I really love her for that. I love her to pieces.
I just want to add as well.
Oh God, people!
I'll spread the love between you and Joe then. How about that?
Hurry up so we can answer questions.
Patience. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. See, I told you. She's had enough now.
Naomi, you have some questions. How about jumping in?
Cool, good hosting, Gil, and this is lovely. Well, actually, one of my many questions, I won't ask them all, but one of them, it kind of connects, and this one's to Ayse, and then I've got some for both of you. But one thing that I'm really fascinated by is, when did you first learn that you could say and do things that no one else would dream of saying and doing, and not only get away with it, but like bring joy at the same time? When did you first notice that?
Like what? What are we getting away with?
Give us an example.
Come on.
So like you have this amazing ability to just say things exactly as they are, and yet and at the same time like invite people to kind of sparkle, and like it's such a unique quality, and I just want to know when you first noticed it.
I think we've always been brilliant like that, haven't we, Joe?
No, I think this is more directed at you.
How's it more directed at me?
Because do you know what? There are times where I can be totally non-solution focused, right? There's a time when I have to say, guys, come on, you know, let's have a reality check here. Let's see where this is really going. So you come off of that, but I think that only comes with that that relationship you have with a client, and that's built up. We don't do that straight away. I don't tell a young person pattern you up if you don't shape up. Do you know what I mean? This is, by the way, guys, if you don't know
use the
what
word pan.
I love that word.
It's a new slang word he's learned from a kid.
Yeah.
Now he uses it all the time. Where's my tea? Don't make me pattern you up.
I actually use it with a kid as well.
Yeah. And I think that, do you know what it is? When I used to mentor young people, and years later I used to see them, and you know, when you think you're working with someone and they're just not listening, what the hell? This has been a total waste of time. What have we done here? Mm. And this young person sees you in the supermarket and says, "Oh, you always, yeah, oh, thanks. You don't know how those conversations helped." And I thought, well, I didn't know how they helped in when we were talking to each other, because nothing was really changing. But we don't I don't know that influence we have on the people that we work with, and sometimes it only, that realization only comes years later. But I think, I don't know, is it an instinct? You know, when you can get away with something with a client, and sometimes you can't, you change your language.
I don't think it's about client. I think it's just with professionals and me. I'm just
that's what I was meaning more.
Yeah, I know what you were meaning, Joe. I just let Joe drag it on. I've always been that way. I would just say it how it is, and if I think people are using too big words when they don't need to, I'll just say, could have said that in one sentence. Why did we spend a whole hour talking about this? It's just no nonsense. I think because it's not about ego, it's getting things done.
Yeah.
It's just getting things done, and whatever needs to be done is break it down. Where are we going to start? What is it we're aiming for? Who needs to be involved? Just get it done rather than talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. So when I'm in a situation where there's lots of people on a Zoom or in a meeting where they're just talking, I'm like, kill me. No. And I think in one of the meetings I actually said, why do I have the urge to start self-harming right now? Why are we still discussing this? It's boring me. And I think some people appreciate that, some people don't. But yeah, Joe's much more subtle than I am. He'll just be really polite and then come off and go and start moaning at me. But I'll just say it. But that's just the way I am. I've
heard Ayse in sessions turn around and say, "Right, you're boring me now. Get out." Yeah. I've actually heard her say, "You're right, you're boring me now. Get out. Come on."
And it's not because they're boring me, it's just to make them laugh. Oh, I'm bored now. Come on.
And they do. They absolutely find it hilarious. They find it absolutely, and that's the charm that Ayse does have with her clients and kids.
The charm that Joe has, guys. Inside info: the single ladies fancy him. No joke.
I'm sure no one's surprised by that.
Not.
But he will be seeing a client, and then he'll come upstairs and go, "For God's sake, come downstairs and help me out." And when I walk in, they see a female, his colleague, and they're really upset with me. So then when I say, "Well, I'm going to take this case over because Joe's now kind of feeling something's going on here," they never come back because they wanted Joe.
Aww.
Yeah, he has that effect on the ladies, guys. So be warned.
Oh. And just when you said then about having no ego, and that is something that is outstanding about both of you, you know, in terms of like Buddhist philosophy and being there is none, and you or that I can see, and you are so, and like the FBS live chats have really shown that, and it's really special the way that you will pull out something that's interesting and particular to somebody, and you'll be really loving and you'll be really open, and yet there's such a dynamism. And thinking about all those things in both of you, what I was also interested in, and maybe other people would be, is what do you think your teachers would have said about those qualities or anything else, and what they loved about you, and maybe even what they might have said about if you were mischievous?
What would my teachers have said?
Good question, Naomi. Good question.
Go on,
I was a model student, Naomi.
Like me.
I never got into trouble. I think one of my reports from my head of year was something about that I was a bit of an enigma. And I had to look up what the word enigma meant, because I thought, what the hell's he on about? I don't know what he's on about. But I just never I never stood out. I never wanted to stand out. I was quite happy just coasting along. And I was a great people watcher. I loved watching people, and I loved how they reacted.
There's a word for that.
What is it?
Voyeurism.
Not a stalker. I just, yeah. And this thing about ego. There was something that Evan posted on his Facebook page about ego and solution focus, and I thought it was really, really interesting, in the sense that it doesn't matter what I think. My thoughts on this client has absolutely nothing to do with my ego about if this client doesn't change, then it's a fault in the client. That, you know, and I don't know what's best for people. I would never even assume that I knew what was best for people. That's just not who I am. I've never been that way. And I think that's why this approach, I loved it so much, because it treated everyone as a unique individual. And there's one thing we have control over, and that's today. There's nothing else we can do about it. There's no other way around this. What can you do from today moving forward? And it makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't it? Yeah, of course we have pasts that shape our beliefs, but I could still do something different tomorrow. And if I was to do something different tomorrow, what would that be? And it's not about me giving people suggestions of how they should live their life. Why on earth would I think I know better than the client? Some people might think, well, that's a bit of a cowardly way out, because then you don't have to give answers to people. You just let them do it. Because then if they fail, it's not your fault. But that's not the way I think about it. I genuinely don't think I know better than my client, because I don't. And I think this ego thing, I often see a lot of things on certain platforms, and I think this is about you. This isn't about SF. This is not about SF. This is about you and how you're feeling about it. And Rachel, I never drink white wine. How dare you? Just going back to a previous.
Did you want me to go, Naomi?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I want to know about your teachers and what they loved about you, or what they might say now, or what they might say.
I was very. You're not going to believe this. I was very quiet and shy at school. I was for 2 years of my first year and second year at secondary school. My nickname was Double Pepperoni Pizza Face.
Oh.
Don't feel sad for me, people.
I used to get called Pizza Dough. It's fine.
Oh, so yeah. But so I was quite shy. I was quite reserved, and I think I hit year 10, and then I found my voice. And yeah, I was a good girl. But I know that most of my teachers are quite proud of what we're doing today, because they're on Facebook. And one of them just knocked on the door one day and said, "You know that maths teacher you had? Yes, her grandchild needs help." So just knowing that they can do that is incredible.
Wow. Can I have one more question, Gil?
Yeah.
One more. So you said that is so special, Ayse. And Joe, you mentioned about beliefs that can shape you, and the last thing I was curious to hear from you both is a moment in your life, like even as a child or a teenager, or a moment in your life where you were exposed to something, whether it was culture or art or music or something completely different, I don't know, an experience that in that moment really shifted and influenced your perspective and who you are in your core now.
Oh, geez.
Moment in my life.
Do you know? Thank you for that, Naomi, because I think there's moments in all of our lives, and maybe we don't even remember it, where it was just a conversation or a meeting with someone or an experience that we had that completely changed the way we viewed the world. And I think in terms of the solution-focused approach, it can have that effect, can't it? It's that one conversation that can make a whole difference. And I'm just trying to think. There was this. I can't remember. I think he was my geography teacher, and I was just procrastinating like I normally do. And it was like he said, "It's because you have this fear of failing, don't you?" As a young kid, you think, "Yeah, shut up, so what do you know?" Blah, 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 blah. But actually, when you think about it, sometimes we don't do the things we want to do because of that fear, and it did stick with me. Conversations with my mum's mum back in the village in Italy, sitting on a stoop when she would tell me about the times when the really tough times they had, and that kind of stuck with me because it made us appreciate what we had. And I know when my son went to Tanzania to stay with a family for 2 weeks, he did come back a different person. So a conversation, a week can change someone's whole direction in life. And that's why SF is so important.
Yeah, wonderful.
Because we can have that conversation.
You're such an SF geek.
Your turn, Ayse.
I don't think there's a particular one. I think there's been many, many, many moments where the aha moments all started shifting. There were. I think there's a few clients, to be honest, that I've worked with that have shaped me as a person and my practice, and for that I'm very, very grateful to them. And I think that's where you kind of get yourself and think, how else can I develop myself just to support? But I think my greatest teachers have been my clients that I've worked with, but I just can't think of anything else. But they definitely, my geography teacher, actually, Mrs. Young, who was the one that knocked on the door, she once said to me, you are unstoppable as long as you put your mind to it. And I had no idea what she was going on about because I couldn't see that. But I think I get it now. I must message her. What did you mean by that, Mrs. Young? Yeah, probably that.
Did you change it?
Lorraine?
Hello?
Did you ask a question?
No. Sorry.
Okay.
No, sorry. No.
I see in the chat. Okay, I see in the chat there's some really good questions people have asked in the chat, and with the time remaining, I mean, anybody just want to jump in and ask your question? Just ask it now.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead, Kathy.
I'm really intrigued to know what kind of reactions you get from the professionals that you work with who don't understand SF, don't know it.
We don't get a negative reaction because we're extremely subtle. Because we don't go in with that, I'm an SF person. It is just if a social worker in particular is getting on my nerves, getting on my nerves, then my classic would be, and if we did it your way, what difference would it make? And I just keep going and going and going until they realise themselves that what they're saying is a load of bull. But I think you've just got to be so subtle in this approach that they don't even realise it. But I don't think we haven't had anyone say, what are you doing? What are you asking? Have we, Joe?
No, I think especially through social work at schools, when we say that we're working on strengths and moving forward, and what changes they would like to make, and what changes you would like to see as a professional, I think they're quite relieved, because I think they get that feeling that this isn't going to be a sort of 2 years down the line and maybe something will shift. I think they kind of feel that. So I think everyone lives in the present. Everyone has to do something different to make a difference. And when we explain it in the way that we do, we very rarely get, I mean, apart from if they're in maybe the psychotherapy world, maybe that's where it becomes. But we work alongside CAMS with the same young people, and it works really well. There's no reason why it shouldn't. If you wanted to talk about the young person and why they feel the way that they do, and maybe look at past traumas, which are really important, I'm not denying that, but tomorrow they're going to school, they're going to wake up, they're going to have to cope with the present. So what can we do to make that better? And I'm a believer that, trauma reminds us of a bad time in our lives, but it's also it's a mechanism to keep us safe. Shit, I've been in this situation before and I need to know what to look out for. But we can replace those with nicer memories. What I think what I'd like for my families to come away with is to have more memories that they can look back on in those dark times and say, shit, it has not always been dark.
Hold on.
There's been times when we'll be getting on.
I love you, Joe.
Can
I just give an example, right? Of
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
When Joe and I are applying for funding bids, Joe writes a story for each question. Never answers the actual question, or part answers it. I go in and edit. That's what's happening now. Why have you gone into the whole trauma and what difference that makes?
The question was about professionals and what we do.
Yeah, we answered it. We said
future focus.
It's subtle.
When I said about, hang on. When I said about psychotherapists looking into past traumas, what I'm saying is, as solution-focused practitioners, we can build better memories, and there's a bank of better memories when you're feeling low. Because if you're feeling low and all you have is trauma, how are you going to get out of it?
But what was the question?
I don't know. I just went on with it. Who cares?
You're being really patient, Ayse.
I know.
Raya's got her hand up.
Raya.
Oh, you're on mute.
So, who is on your FBS chat wish list for the next 100?
Oh, sugar. Who is on our wish list? Gil, you know who? The one that wrote the book on domestic abuse, the one that I emailed, but she hasn't got back to me yet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Moyi Lee for me.
Joe?
Definitely. I do like that question. I really had to.
I want Harvey Ratner to come on, because we've interviewed Chris, we've interviewed Evan, but I don't know, Harvey seems to have gone underground, guys. So if anyone can.
And also we started with Harvey, didn't we? Albeit I didn't like it, but we did start with Harvey.
Yeah, I'd really love to have a conversation with Harvey, because he introduced it to us in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, can I go back to a previous question that I think it was Naomi that asked about it, a moment where I was inspired. And it's just dawned on me when Raya said something. Raya's book, that book is my Bible. The next, honestly, I'm telling you, it is my Bible. It sits on my desk. I have a copy at home, a signed copy, just so you know. Signed copy. The signed copy is at home, guys, not to be touched. That book sits there as my Bible. So when I'm struggling, I literally flick through it, make myself feel better, and then I can carry on again. Thank you, Raya. Just wanted to mention that because I literally just dawned on me now. Raya's book, The Power of the Next Small Step. If you don't buy it, have it, guys. You can order it from Amazon and other good reads.
Order it from Lulu. Order it from Lulu.
Lulu's much better.
Yeah, I got the money for that.
It just dawned on me. Sorry, I just had to say that.
Let's see. Anybody else have a question? Catherine Waldock. I liked your question you put in the chat. Do you want to ask that out loud? No. Can we ask that question? Catherine asks, she's interested to know on what occasions you've been pushed out of your comfort zones and what did you learn from it?
Ooh.
Good question.
Ooh.
Thank you, Miss Waldock, for that question. I will remember this when I see you next time. I've been put. Joe, do you want to go first?
Thinking about.
I've been outside my comfort zone many times. But I will then say if it's with the client, such as we were talking about disassociation, for example, and I said, I kind of know what it is. I've never experienced it. I wouldn't know what to recommend. I wouldn't know what to say. You teach me and you tell me what it looks like. And that was outside my comfort zone because it's like, whoa, this is deep mental health stuff. I don't know what's going on here. And I'm not John Hendon that is experienced enough to do it. But I remember a time working with a particular client where I felt really outside my comfort zone. And I remember calling and saying, I need you to guide me as to how to support you because I don't actually know what I'm doing right now. And I don't know if what I'm saying is working. And she said, just keep doing. But I was lost and I was panicking because shit was hitting the fan and I really wanted to help. And I really wanted to guide, but I just didn't know how to do it. So I just said, you need to guide me as to what I should do. But I was really outside my comfort zone. And that wasn't a negative thing, that's a positive thing. Mm-hmm. So I thank that person who is not here tonight.
Yeah, I just think that there's that curiosity that we always need to have, no matter how experienced we get. Whatever the client says, whatever label they come in with, is how is that a problem for you? Explain it to me. Let me understand. Let me get where you're coming from, because I don't know. I could read about depression till the end of time, but I still don't know what it is for David or Raya or Michelle or Ella or whoever's here. So that curiosity kind of keeps me. You know where some people think, well, if you're working with young people, you should get into, the latest gaming or the latest whatever's on. No, I don't need to know that. You explain it to me. What is it about Fortnite that is so fascinating to you? Let me hear it from your point of view. I'm not going to put my. So yeah, there's times when I've felt uncomfortable, and I've had to just remain curious. How is this an issue for you? And how can this conversation be useful? I've got nothing else to go with.
Or when you have a lady that pushes her son towards you and says, go and sit with Joe and play Lego and I'll just sit here and watch you guys playing Happy Families. That was, you were definitely outside your comfort zone there.
That's where I go up the stairs and say, Ayse, can you come down a minute? I think this is I'm not sure of.
If I had taken a photo, they would have looked like a lovely family.
I think after many years of talking to many young people, I don't know what I'm shocked by anymore. And I think that almost that when someone tells you something and you don't look completely horrified, that in itself is a good start, because it's not like, shit, I've just told him something and he looks like he's looking at me like I'm the worst thing on earth. I don't And I've had a pretty good life, guys. Do you know what I mean? I haven't come from a background where I've suffered this stuff. So I have to remain curious.
Mm.
I don't know. I just ask.
Oh, you're so cute.
How is that a problem for you?
Mm.
I'm going to come downstairs and give you a hug.
And 100% belief that the client can make those changes. That is it.
Yeah, that's
even
important,
if it's years down the line. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love you guys, all of you.
Oh man.
Who else has questions for these? Who else has questions for these brilliant people?
I got a question, Gil.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, first of all, I just want to shout out to a couple of people that couldn't be here tonight, like Tara and Emma, who really wanted to co-host, and I think they're both really sad that they couldn't be here. And also Eve Lipchick. I would have really loved to have had Eve here, but I know she couldn't come either. She was apology. But Eve wanted to know when you are putting the book out, because she wants to read it.
David.
Eve said she wants to read it before she falls off the perch.
Oh, no. Oh.
How long have I been trying to write this article for Raya?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
So Eve and I talk a lot via email, and then every now and then we Zoom. And she's done her back out, and she wanted to be here tonight. I didn't even tell her about it. Her son told her about it. But every time I speak to her, is, have you started writing the book yet? No, Eve, but I will get onto it. I'm 90 years old. What are you waiting for? Can you please write the book in my lifetime? Yeah, Eve. Yeah, Eve. The book is going to be called I Don't Know When the F I'm going to write the damn book. That's what it's going to be called, Matt. But yeah, so the pressure's on with Eve. Listen, I say to everybody, I'm not an academic. I'm not a writer, I'm a doer. So people can come and film me at my best with clients running around, Joe and I arguing, me saying to Jason, seriously, Jason, why are you still doing that? Lorraine, come on, Lorraine. Matt, put the guitar down and get on with some work. That's what I can do. I am not a writer. Joe is more of a writer than I am, and I'm more of the editor, but Raya's going to receive something, hopefully one day.
When we first had this idea of working with child-to-parent abuse, I think we had this like, yeah, we'll start a charity because we don't want to charge families. That's just not the way we're going to do stuff. And yeah, maybe one day we'll have our own office, and maybe one day we'll have our own home where we can bring young people for respite and help them and reintegrate them back into their families and write a book. So it's on the agenda, guys. It's always been on the agenda. So we're ticking things off as we go along. But, you know,
sorry, go on, Joe.
No, I was just going to say, Raya, it's getting there. It's definitely going to be done. But don't ask me when.
Just keep sending me bits, and I'll.
This is why you love Raya. Why do you think we're coming to Edinburgh?
Well, I'll just say, I mean, over the almost year and a half I've known you, we've had a number of conversations about therapy, and you guys have provided a number of examples of work you've done in between the time we've talked. And I can't think of specifics off the top of my head, but I know you guys are doing some really creative, brilliant work. So writing a book of case examples would be a real contribution, I think.
Gil, can I comment on that?
Please, Caroline.
Yes, because I was thinking the same when Ayse and Joe were just talking about that, because we have so many books about how to do it and theory and science. But what I have found from people who read my book, my last book, is that they actually love the case histories. They really want to read those conversations and to really feel how they flow, because I think many of the things that I just heard everybody say all through the lines is we start to really love our clients when we sit with them. You know, they open up something inside us. They become well, we are there to help them, but they as much help us in return. You know, it's being together in this journey of discovery is every time such an intimate being together. And I think when you write case histories, real case histories, people feel that, and I think that's hugely appreciated also by a lot of people who are working with it in the field of education or social work. And I think that would be lovely, actually, because we have so many good books about people who really did the scientific and academic studies about it, but there are not so many people who are able to really do stuff, as you say, to be a doer, and from there to put that out. I think that would be hugely appreciated. So I can only say from my own experience, I didn't write a book ever until I said to Ben Furman, you know, we need it because Kids Skills was doing so great here in Holland. And I said, Ben, we need a book for the teenagers too, because everybody's asking about it. And then he said, well, you write it, you know. So I've never written a book before, so it's just a matter of starting and just one foot at a time, going through the process.
I think if we ever,
I just want to say, Caroline, I want to know that about a week ago, I gave a copy of your book to a friend who's not in the field, and she wanted some ideas about how to deal with a 17-year-old. I gave her a copy of your book.
Oh, thank you. That's very endearing. Thank you. I really want it to be going around, you know, for people who work with children.
We've got a copy, Caroline.
Oh, great.
No, but sorry, Ayse. Go ahead.
I think if we ever wrote the book, in my mind, it would be us writing case studies, but also the parent writing their experience from their point of view.
Absolutely, that would be
to get the two sides, so people can actually feel. Yes, I'm looking at particular people that are going to write it with us, and I think that would be.
Please do
good. Transcribe. Who said that, Michelle? Yes, Michelle. Yes, Michelle. I'm with you on that one.
That would be unique, and I think you wouldn't have any problem getting a publisher to buy that.
Yeah,
it's a great concept.
I agree. Yeah.
So there you go. Watch this space, people. We've put it out there. Where are we on a scale of 1 to 10 right now in terms of writing the book? I won't even tell you.
Who else has another question for our guests of honor?
I've got one more question. It's a serious one. Look, I want to know whereabouts on that line of 100 or 99 interviews did you get that aha moment where you thought either something was said that was just so inspiring, or something happened where you thought, gee, I'm glad we decided to do this. I think we're on the right thing here. So not necessarily the person who you spoke to, but the thing that was said that was just that, wow, we've got to keep doing it.
Do you know what, David? It's really
great question.
Joe and I were actually talking about this last night in anticipation that this might be asked. Not that we were preparing, but we both actually came to the agreement that in every single chat we've had aha moments. Every single one. It's pen out, write it down. And then I will say, oh, thank you very much. I'm an honest thief. I'm taking that. Thank you. In every single one, whether it's working with suicidal clients or clients who are self-harming or clients or businesses or whatever it might be, we've learned something from we've had aha moments at least once or twice in every single chat. So there isn't one that hasn't actually influenced our practice or our thought process. They're all brilliant because everyone's unique, and you just take little bits and bobs from everybody, whatever suits you, and you start putting those puzzle pieces together, and that in itself is amazing when you're so open to learning.
I think, and yeah, I would echo that. When we finish one of our chats, I'm normally down here and Ayse's normally upstairs, and then you'll hear us go, "Oh," just so inspired by it. And
we do that every time.
Yeah, and sometimes I think when we interviewed Evan and he spoke about bringing Steve DeShazer over to the UK for the first time, and in this, this conference of hundreds of people, and people were saying to him, "So, Steve, does Solution Focus work with depression?" And he would say no. And someone say, "Does it work with anxiety?" And he would say no. Does it work with? And what he eventually said was that the solution focused approach doesn't work with labels, it works with people. That was the gist of it. And when you get that moment when you think, yes, I know I'm in the right place, I know I'm in the right home, because I'm working with people, not labels. I don't know, for some reason that still sticks with me, David. And there's been loads of others, but yeah, when you were asking for specifics, I think that's one that kind of stood out for me, that I can just imagine, because I've never met Steve DeShazer. I've seen videos of him. When we were at Brief, I think, unfortunately, it was a couple of weeks before he went to Austria and unfortunately passed away, but we saw a live video of him with a drug addict. And she was given every excuse under the sun as to, why she continues, or all her friends do it. And he would say, yeah, so what are you going to do about it? Every question he's asked her was, what are you going to do about it? And isn't that the essence of it? What is your client going to do about this situation? It's not what we're going to do. It doesn't matter what I say. What are you going to do when you leave this room? And it was she took his question with she was so nice with him, because I would.
You see how you don't answer the question.
Shut up. She was so. You would have thought, how is this person not getting really, really upset? But he was acknowledging her difficulty, but saying, "What are you going to do about it?" Isn't that the essence of what we do, really?
Yeah.
That's all I was going to say. Sorry.
Yes, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Lorraine.
Lorraine. But can I just say, when you guys are on FBS chat and you're having these wonderful conversations, and I am listening as well as I should, but I am listening because I'm in the background doing admin. Can I just say that? So I'm sharing it, I'm keeping up with things, I'm making sure the links are working. I've usually got Catherine Waldup messaging me going, try not to laugh. She's messaging me, try not to laugh, trying to make me laugh. So I'm live going like this. There's a lot I've got to contend with, guys. Just so you know, it's not just about, when I said just I'm just gonna sit here, pretty face, and just listen.
Oh gosh.
I have a question for Joe along those lines about the two of you doing the interviews together. Oh, yeah. Joe.
Yeah.
You do most of the questioning in the interviews, correct?
Yeah.
Right. You would agree with that, Ayse?
Of course, yeah. And he's very good at it as well. I'm very proud of you, Joe.
Yes, that's it. What have you learned about asking questions in 99 interviews? Because where I sit, I think you've gotten better at it. You've improved, and you say you don't, except for Eve, you don't read anything beforehand. So where do your questions come from when you're doing these kinds of interviews?
Wow,
it's very good.
So when I asked the initial question and the client's telling us, I went to, or someone told me to go to a conference, I wasn't meant to go, and there was this guy talking about solution focus, and just something within that conversation, and I guess we all do it at some point, we pick out one thing that stood out. And I can't tell you what that formula is. I don't know, but something will stand out for me and it will stick in my head and I will go back to it. It's a really difficult one, Gil, because it's not like a planet. Some of our guests, when you ask the opening question, there's so many different ways I could go with it, but I don't know which one I choose. Something hits, something feels right. I think we talked to Frank the other night, and he said Steve DeShazer gave him his card and said, get in touch with me. And that's what stood out from all the things he said before, that Steve DeShazer had given him his card and said, let's contact me and let's talk. I thought, wow. And that's what stuck with me. So yeah, I don't even know if I want to know what the formula is, but I'll just stumble along and see where it goes. And sometimes it goes in a really good direction and sometimes it doesn't. And I guess that's the same with clients, right? Sometimes,
yeah, like life.
Like
life. Sometimes it goes. Yeah, so I don't know, Gil. I wish I knew if there was a formula. What I have realised working with clients over the years, it's become less and less formulaic and more of a conversation, if that makes sense. It just goes where the client takes me.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going to go.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I guess that's the difficulty of writing a book, right?
That's right. Yeah.
You never
Because
know.
I have to be a bit more formulaic, and I don't know if that's me.
Yeah, you have to see where it goes. I'm aware that Raya is asking about the quiz, and that we were sort of scheduling originally to chat for around an hour and then a quiz. And I'm aware that some people might need to leave. So we were thinking, would you be interested in having kind of a little comfort break and then coming back for those of you that want to join the quiz? Does that sound, Gil, David, Ayse Joe, Lorraine, Jason, everyone?
Yay.
Yeah, excellent.
Yay.
Yeah, before we take a break, I want to see if David had a question from Emma, and I just wanted to see if you wanted to ask that, David.
Oh, it's probably too big a question, Gil, but maybe I'll leave you to contemplate it, maybe. And I didn't write it down, but it was something about if you could interview anybody in the world, either currently or historically, that had the potential to change the course of history, who would be on your list to interview? This is not an SF person, but anybody. That was from Emma, and so don't blame me for that one.
I love you, Emma. If you watch this, I will email you the answer.
Yeah. Good, cool.
Wow.
I will answer it, and I will answer it because then it will be one paragraph. If Joe answers it, we'll go for 4 pages.
I've got 2 people in mind. I think Martin Luther King, definitely. What is it? What did you know about non-violent standing up?
Protest.
That you knew it was going to work. Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Even though I know there was a bit, because do you know what? He was good at what he did. What had made him know from a very young boy that it was going to be world champion one day? What was it about that? Who else would I interview? Ooh.
That's it. How many people are you interviewing?
Loads.
Seriously, Joe, from now on, everybody should direct questions to me and I will filter what you may say.
She's terrible.
Hey, look.
She's so
And you guys are asking me to be patient.
I know we're running out of time, but wouldn't it be appropriate to answer Will's question about your best hopes for the future of FBS?
Oh, that's a nice song.
What was that?
Future.
What are your best hopes for the future of FBS? Make this the last question. Good way to end it.
Future of FBS.
Bigger, stronger, better.
Yes, bigger, stronger, better. Do you know what? FBS is...
I love it, Lorraine.
I am being biased. FBS is a fantastic charity that is very much client-led, which is why we've expanded so much, but it's nothing without our staff and volunteers. And so the future of FBS is our staff, such as Jason, Matt, Lorraine, and volunteers. Treasurer. So everybody be nice to treasurer.
Don't forget the treasurer.
Shut us down.
Devs.
And Dev's. Without Dev, she's she's everything. And she's got the cheek to tell me when I've done something wrong.
Yeah, Brill.
But that's brilliant. I love that about her. But the future of FBS is raising awareness of domestic abuse, but not just female victims, but also male victims, and female perpetrators, male perpetrators. I know that's not a great word, but I'm just saving time here. So equality, we're not gender dividing at all. If you're a perpetrator, you're a perpetrator. I don't care what gender you are, you're still a perpetrator, and vice versa with a victim. And I think spreading that, because we are the only child to parent abuse solution focused service in the world.
Oh.
And we are the only solution focused service in the UK, definitely working with female and male victims and perpetrators. So well done to us.
Hey. Woohoo.
And to continue supporting other charities as well as ours, because we don't just support ourselves, because we need the money desperately. But despite our charity desperately needing money, we know that we are privileged in this country.
And Robert Black's just said, think we need to applaud your efforts in promoting solution focus in difficult times and keeping us all connected. And my goodness, I would say everyone will agree on that.
Oh, I love you, Rob. I don't know about you guys, but I need to go to the ladies. So if we all take a 5-minute break, come back and get on the quiz, and whoever's competitive, you can stay in my team. Because I'm very competitive. All right, so see you in 5. If you're going to go for, Joe's going to go for a fag.
Okay.
I've got my dinner. That's what I'm doing. I'm eating.
Okay. I don't know how to put this on.
I'll mute you.
You want to stop the recording now, Ayse?
Oh, yes, I do, actually. How do I do that? It's... Oh, God. Oh, yeah. There we go. Lorraine just told me to... Lorraine's swearing at me. Lorraine's swearing at me. Lorraine's swearing at me.
You still need to stop the recording.
Why am I still recording?
I don't know, you need to stop it.
I really think you have.
I've got my
Hold
food.
on.
Oh.
Oh, it's not me recording, it's Naomi.
Naomi's recording.
We'll have to
I'm here, what do you need?
You're recording, mate.
Shall I stop, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Bye.